Welcome everybody to Street Wide in the Northern home for all things racing with me, Thomas Bennett, and my man Bradley. How's it going?
Could be better.
Yeah, it could be. Last week, loss of Jesse Owens at Lawrenceburg. In fact, we're going to take a moment of silence to start off the show today in memory of him, and condolences to all of his family and friends out there. All right, so that obviously, Keith, were you at that race last week?
Had
Lawrenceburg?
plans on going, and then I just ended up watching it on my TV, and it's one of them ones where it sticks with you.
Yeah, those things are never easy to see. I heard about it. I have not watched it. I don't want to watch it. It's just it's one of those things that it sucks. It's horrible.
I think what makes it worse is with me being on the fire department here locally, I have all them fancy apps on my phone to where I could see what. So like if there's an app on my phone for where our local dispatch can update the CAD report and I could see things. And after they went to commercial break, it's usually a dead giveaway that something serious is happening.
Yeah.
And then my phone started going berserk and I was like, oh God. And they called in the medical helicopter and it went downhill from there. And I want to give my condolences to the Owen family and not only just the Owen family, but the track workers, the first responders that were there. It's never a good thing. It's never something that you would want to be a part of. And I think the last death at Lawrenceburg Speedway was in the 60s. So it's one of them things that like everybody that races knows what you get yourself into, the dangers of the sport. But I think we take it for granted till it really happens. And
without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah, like I'm in a big group chat with a couple guys that race sprint cars, a couple that don't, and it really hit all of us pretty hard. Like it was a big gut shot because I mean it sucks. It really sucks.
It does. It does suck. I remember I had a friend who died. Oh man, it's probably 10 years ago now, maybe even a little bit longer. And he wasn't even on the track racing. They were popping a bead on the tire on the right rear, and the rim was cracked. He didn't know it, and the center of the wheel blew out and hit him while he was just standing there talking. And it's one of those things that's it's horrible.
It's a freak accident.
And it's freak accidents, whether it's a wreck or something like that, and it sucks. You like I said, we all take it for granted. We never think about it. You know what I mean? You never think about that stuff at all. So yeah, it's tough, man. It's horrible when I heard the news. So yeah, condolences to everybody out there. It's a bummer, man. Absolute bummer.
I think if you walked into my kitchen, into my living room, because there's a doorway separating them, you can see my trail from where I was pacing. I don't know. For some reason, it hit me really hard. I got pretty emotional at first, and then it set in the back of my mind like, damn, we really do take this sport for granted, and then it just rears its ugly ears up, and it hits you where it hurts the most. And and he was a local guy. He was from this area, and I think that's what made it hurt even more.
Yeah, that is. That type of stuff is tough.
And 26 years old, it just too young to go.
Dude. Oh my God. Yeah.
Was getting ready to get married in October. It just
it sucks. That sucks, man. So
yeah. So prayers out to the family for sure.
Definitely. But moving on, hopefully to a more cheerful topic. A bunch of stuff on the show today. We're going to be doing our NASCAR Driver Stock Game. We were going to roll that out last week. Apologies for missing last week. Last week I woke up literally on the day of the podcast. The hot water heater had gone out. The washing machine had broke. This all happened literally the same day, within an hour of each other. And so yeah, I had to get all that fixed. I couldn't have my wife and kids because although this week, out here in Northern California, it's been in the upper 70s. Last week it was like 50 degrees, so couldn't have them taking freezing cold showers with no hot water. So I had to get that stuff fixed, and luckily I did. Uh, thank goodness. So yeah, that was why we had no pod last week. So but we're back this week. Like I said, a bunch of stuff to cover. NASCAR stock game. We got a really interesting Ask 3 Wide question that we're going to wrap the show up with today that me and Keith were talking about a little bit before the show, and I think it's going to be a pretty interesting conversation. And then we've got hit or miss. We've only got 2 hit or miss today because the NASCAR driver stock game is going to take a bit of time. But before we get into that, I want to talk about a topic that's been going around and has been, had some, comments on Twitter and people chiming in, a lot of stuff that has been said about it. And with all the talks about charters and, the RTA Race Team Alliance and what what the teams are going to be doing moving forward and the new TV deal and all this stuff that's in the air. One of the things that has been weighing really heavily on this conversation, and it's basically just a black cloud that's been following this conversation around, if you've been paying attention, is the viewership numbers in NASCAR, which have gone down considerably this year. If you look at the ratings for 2023 right now, the NASCAR Cup Series ratings, okay, so this is not Xfinity, this is not the trucks or anything else, this is just the Cup race, all right? If you look at the Busch Clash, that race, okay, is the second most watched non-points race since 2016. Now, in terms of non-point races, we have like 3 of them. So I mean, it's right in the middle. But compared to last year, it's down 14.8%. Okay, they had 3.6 million viewers this year. The Daytona 500, all right, was at 8.1 million viewers, and it was down 7.7%. Race at Auto Club was down 5.6%. Vegas was down 12.2%. Phoenix down 15.1%. Atlanta was down 14.5%. These are all percentages based on what they were last year. Coda down 16.1%. Richmond was down 48.1%, but there's a little bit of an asterisk to this. Basically, 2022 Richmond was on the Big Fox channel, right? The main Fox Racing or the main Fox channel. This year it was on FS1. And if you look at it compared to the first race on FS1 last season, it was down only 11.9%. It's still down double digits, okay? So it's still drastic drop. And then Bristol Dirt was down almost 14%. It was at 13.9. Now, these are massive drops in viewership, but there is some stuff that goes with this. As always, context is really king. And we live in this headline society that we love to just post a headline and then nobody reads the rest of the article, right? This happens all the time, right? You see it all the time. And the world that we live in with the internet and, social media and all stuff like that, you have to do that because these places, they're trying to get clicks, they're trying to get you to come look at it. And at the end of the day, if all you do is click on the headline and go to the page and you don't even read the article, you just read the headline, maybe the first sentence or two, they're fine with that. They don't care because they've made their money, right? They've got the ads there. You click on it, you go, boom, they've got the click, they've got their ad revenue, and you can be on your merry way. They don't care if you read it. So when we look at this, right, like I said, the context really matters. First of all, viewership in all sports, when you look at it, is down, okay? Because people are not watching television anymore. Network television is dying. So for us to look at this and think like, oh my goodness, NASCAR is dying. Well, not really, okay? Network television is dying. What NASCAR needs to do is NASCAR needs to rethink their metrics. If they're going to be going into negotiations, okay, for the whole media rights, they need to really start rethinking how they measure this stuff. You cannot use television. You just can't use television ratings. Television ratings have basically been worthless for the last 10 years. They really have been, right? Unless it's something like the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. They really don't. Because the vast majority of your viewers, right, the people who are going to follow the sport are not watching it on television. You guys, I don't watch these races on television. I haven't watched them on a network channel in forever. I stream it. I watch the clips. I'll go to YouTube and I'll watch the entire race on YouTube. That's how I will consume the NASCAR race. Okay? So you cannot say that, hey man, this viewership's down on Fox, because who cares? Who's watching Fox? All right? Another reason why people are not going to watch it on Fox is when you are spending 25% of the time running commercials, nobody wants to see that. All right. Now, there's been a really dumb argument that's been made by people, once again, right? Ignorant F1 fans who don't know what the hell they're talking about, who are also NASCAR fans, where they come out and they say, well, F1, there's no commercials. NASCAR needs to do that. F1 is on its own network. It's on its own thing, right? You want NASCAR to be like F1, where they've got no commercials, then NASCAR can go out, form their own thing like Formula One has, where you subscribe to it for $50 a month or whatever the hell it is, and you can have 0 ads. Okay? Unless you want to do that, shut up. All right? Because here's the thing. When viewership goes down, these networks still have to make their money. They've already guaranteed what they're going to be paying NASCAR for these rights. If the viewership is going down, they have to do what to make up that money? They have to increase the number of ads they're showing. It's supply and demand, people. It's basic economics. You should have learned this in high school. Unfortunately, most public educations are crap, at least the ones that I've had experience with. So most people don't understand this, but that's the reason why they're doing that. All right. And those of you who got mad at Mike Joy for calling out the keyboard warriors, I think that's awesome. If that offends you, you're an idiot. Okay, just
get thicker skin.
Yeah, you and your delicate sensibilities. That means you're one of those keyboard warriors, and you need to shut your mouth. All right, but I thought it was awesome. But anyways, so moving forward, NASCAR really needs to rethink how they're looking at these metrics. You cannot use TV viewership. And if they go into a negotiation with a Fox or an NBC or a whoever, and this is what they're bringing to the table, I'm telling you right now, their media rights it's not going to be what they're hoping. Where the discussion of the revenue split is going to be very, very disappointing for a lot of the teams, because the money's not going to be there. It's just not. NASCAR really needs to rethink how they present their product to the world, right? Especially here in the US, but they've got to rethink it. Why is it that I can literally scroll through social media feeds and I can find a ton of F1 clips and F1 highlights, and I don't see any from NASCAR? When I search NASCAR more than F1, these algorithms know what I look for. It was funny, my wife was just saying to me a couple days ago, she's on her phone and she's scrolling through YouTube, and she's like, I don't know why it keeps showing me all these videos. They're all the same thing. I go, well, that's because that's what you search. You search that stuff. YouTube's not stupid. They go out and search kittens for a week. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to be, every time you hop on, your thing's going to be filled with kitten videos. It happens every time my son watches my phone. I hop onto YouTube, and now I got a bunch of these stupid videos of these YouTubers who do the dumbest shit, right? Because that's what my son's been watching. So they're going to give you what you watch. But for some reason, I look up NASCAR stuff, and I hardly get any clips. I hardly get anything with it. And the stuff that I do get is so low in quality when you look at it compared to World of Outlaws, right? The World of Outlaws clips and highlights are better than the NASCAR ones. Okay? Folks, the World of Outlaws is the premier dirt series, but it's not NASCAR. That should never happen. That would be like me saying that the Formula 3 clips are better than the F1 clips. Okay? That should never happen. F1, I watch their clips. They're in full HD, 2K, 50 FPS, right, or frames per second, which in racing, you should not be watching it at 24 frames per second. It's that is what we watch movies at the theaters in. All right, when you watch something like racing, you want to see it in a higher FPS because it makes it a far more smooth an enjoyable experience. It really does. Go to YouTube and watch a video, right? Do a video comparison. Watch one video on 24 FPS and another one on 50 FPS. The change the change that you will notice is drastic. It really is. In terms of NASCAR, they need to be doing more of this stuff. Okay? They need to be going out and finding the top content creators and being like, dude, get our stuff out there and in front of people, because this is the way that we consume things now. All right? It just is. Okay? You look at myself, for example. I work 16 hours a day, 6 days a week at minimum, most of the time 7 days a week. I don't have time to just sit down and watch a 3.5 hour race. I consume the races on my phone while I'm working or at my desk, and I'm watching them, that way, which is what a lot of people do. People are very, very busy now. They're always on their phones. They're not sitting in front of their television watching NBC or Fox Sports 1. They're just not. So if NASCAR does not rethink how they deliver this product, we don't need to be worrying about what's going to happen in 2032. We need to be worrying about what's going to happen in 2024, because it is going to die, not a slow death, but a very quick death. You cannot just keep this on these dying networks that nobody watches. Keith, when was the last time? I mean, do you have cable? You have cable?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. How much television, like actual television, do you watch?
Not very much. I bet we watched like 3 channels.
Exactly. I have not had cable in years. And the last time I had cable, the only reason I had it, it was the absolute bare minimum basic package. And the only reason I had it was because it gave me a 25% discount on my internet for the first year.
That's why I have it.
That's exactly it. That's the only reason I've got it. And that's the only reason they can get people to sign up for it who are under the age of 50. All right. Anybody who's sitting down watching television, I would bet you dollars to pesos, are over 50 years old.
Guarantee it.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah. Okay, so you can't you cannot say that you want to start targeting a younger audience and not go after where that audience is. It makes no sense.
And to piggyback off of what you're saying, and here's my issue with cable nowadays. Like ESPN, in order to watch ESPN, you got to get a subscription to the sports package to watch fucking ESPN.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, how stupid is that?
Yep.
Like the Weather Channel, you got to get a package to watch the Weather Channel. I mean, what? TV's a joke anymore.
It is.
It's a big money scam, really.
It is. And the whole cutting the cord thing in the beginning was a massive cost savings. Now when you look at it, because there's so much a la carte out there, it can be way more expensive than a cable package. But here's the problem with the cable package, right? You go out and you spend hundreds of dollars on a cable package, and a lot of it is worthless, right? And that's because a lot of these networks are in these packages where you're getting them and you don't want them. Folks, I don't want CNN. I don't want MSNBC. If I buy a sports package, I don't want, right, Uncle Harry's Sports Network on channel 227. I don't want that, okay? So you have these big bloated packages on cable, which is why people went to the whole cutting the cord thing. And the thing is now there's so much a la carte out there that if you want to get access to everything, well, what do you need? Well, you need Hulu, you need Hulu Live, you need YouTube, you need Netflix, you need Paramount Plus, you need HBO, right? There's a dozen of them. And it has become as expensive, if not more expensive, than those packages. It really has.
A big joke.
It really has.
Like the Weather Channel, for instance. I'm a severe weather nerd. I'm a freak when it comes to that. I love it. I don't know why. I think it's the adrenaline rush that I get from it. But you can't even watch stuff like that on the Weather Channel anymore. It's all these reality TV shows now. Yep. It's like, what in the hell?
Yep. MTV broke television, right? Remember, It used to be music television. You watched music videos on there. And then they started doing all these shows, and everybody has done this. Now, every single network out there has got a ridiculous freaking travel show or reality show. It's stupid.
We can really show our age real quick. You remember getting ready for school in the mornings watching music videos on MTV?
Yes. Hell
I don't
yes.
even think they do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you could switch between MTV and CMT,
Yep.
and
There
then
was
they all
MTV,
started.
CMT, and VH1.
Yep.
That was it.
And then it started going to these reality TV shows,
Mm-hmm.
and it just took over
Yep.
it took over everything.
Yep. But to bring it back to that, right? Showing our age, when I watched NASCAR as a kid, it was on TNN, the Nashville
Yep.
network, right?
Or
Think about
TBS.
that. Yeah, the Nashville network, all right? Or TBS, right? That's what it was on. When NASCAR went to Fox and NBC, that was huge. Unfortunately, when that happened, that was also the beginning of the end of cable television. All right, that was really when we started to see the that's when all this stuff started really popping up. All right, where you started seeing these, I remember that was like Netflix, right? Where you could get any movie or game that you wanted and they would just deliver it to your door. That was unheard of. And it wasn't very long after that you started getting all the streaming stuff. I mean, I've been on Roku for the last 12 years, right? Like that is how I have consumed my television.
Well, and
And if
it's
I
like,
want to watch live TV, I will get Sling or Hulu Live. I'm not
yeah.
going to Comcast or Xfinity, whatever the hell it's called now.
And to piggyback off the Fox stuff, it ruined Speed TV.
Yes.
Completely ruined it. Like, that was my favorite channel.
Yep.
I'm not a big Mav TV guy. I don't
Mav
really
TV sucks.
I mean, let's be
There's no
honest.
other
The
way to
only time I
sugarcoat
got
it.
it,
It
the only
sucks.
time I got it was the Chili Bowl till Flow
Yes.
Racing came around. But Speed TV was the shit. Like,
Yep.
if you wanted any type of motorsports, Dave Despain, the better version of NASCAR Race Hub,
Yep.
it was on Speed TV. And then Fox took over the TV stuff with NASCAR, and it turned into what it is now, Fox Sports 1, and it's nothing about racing at all other than your couple shows a week.
Yep. So yeah, NASCAR's got some really big issues on their hand, and if they don't get this figured out, and if they don't rethink the way that they present this stuff, it's going to be a very, very difficult negotiation for them. I think NASCAR I think they need to go purely streaming and simplify it. I really do. Sell the rights to YouTube or something. I don't care. I will gladly pay YouTube if I know I can find it there every single week. That's the thing, right? Sometimes it's on FS1, sometimes it's on Fox, but the post-race show is on Peacock. What the hell is that, right? Like that makes zero sense. So stop scattering this stuff to the four corners of the earth. Get it somewhere where it can actually be associated with it. People know where to find it. Right? When you are comparing, think about that. When you were comparing a race, right, like Richmond, which was down 41% versus last year, and the big arguing factor is, well, last year it was on Fox, the main network, and this year it's on FS1. So what? 30% of the people couldn't find it. They didn't have FS1. They just don't know they don't know where it is on their TV guide. Like what's the deal? How is that big of a drop off?
I'm almost curious to know if, with the NFL taking the NFL Sunday Ticket to YouTube, will change any of this.
I hope it does.
I hope it does too, because here's my thinking. It's probably just because I'm old school. I liked watching the pre-race show on the same channel of the race.
Well, that's where it should be.
And then the race not being, or the TV broadcast not being cut short because, we got to go to Aunt Nancy's Golden Girls.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. Like, I like watching the pre-race and post-race because that's when you see all the good stuff, like the good fights, if there is fights, or more in-depth interviews with the top 5. Hell, you're lucky to get the top 3 anymore.
Yep. And
then you can't go find the interviews anywhere.
Exactly. And if you look at the difference between something like a NBA or an NFL versus NASCAR, keep in mind, I understand NASCAR will never be those sports. I get that. But once again, we talk about people investing in the characters, right? The drivers. You don't see these drivers like you used to see them. You just don't. You don't. We live in a world now where I can literally follow any of these drivers on their social media and I can see what they're doing at home, right? I could be like, oh damn, Dane Blaney built a new shed in his backyard, right? Like I can follow that stuff, right? But people aren't doing it because they're not investing in it. Because if you don't have a desire to do it, you have to open the door for people. People are not just going to go do it. It does not matter how available they are. If you don't get that attraction going first, they're not going. They're not watching. F1, right? Go online. Just go to YouTube and type in F1. That's it. 2 strokes of the keyboard, F1. And you will be amazed at all of the in-depth interviews, the race coverage, the pre-race, all of it. All of it can be found on YouTube. You cannot do that on NASCAR.
I'm not an F1 fan. I mean, that's not my style of racing, but I can do a quick YouTube search and find anything and everything that I want to know about a certain
About
race.
F1.
Yeah.
Can you find that on NASCAR? Can you find that on the next gen car? Right? When was the last time you saw an in-depth breakdown of the suspension on the next gen cars?
I mean, you don't.
You don't.
Not like they used to. Like, remember the cutaway car, or when they had the car modeling, whether it was in the studio or not, and they were like, well, here's the brake ducts. This is what that looks like. Or this is what the drivetrain looks like.
Yep.
Like, I would love to see a breakdown of what the underbody of these cup cars look like.
Me too. Right? I can go
and you can't get that anywhere.
Yes, I can go and I can watch a video that breaks down the intricate differences between a push rod system and a pull rod system on an F1 car, who runs what and what the pros and cons are of each and why those teams chose it and how they package it and everything. I am a nerd for that stuff, right? I really am. I'm an absolute geek for that stuff. But I can go see that if I want to see that. The content that I want to consume is out there. I can't get that for NASCAR. I can't.
Now, I will say NBC does do a little bit of a better job of having car breakdowns with Steve Letarte.
Yes, but the thing is that's during the race.
Yeah.
But it's during the race. I can't get that anywhere else. Right?
No,
Are those clips of Steve Letarte out there on YouTube? I got to go freaking hunting for them.
Yeah. And you'll find them on these rip-off YouTube accounts.
Yes, it's people. They're not. It's not even the damn NASCAR YouTube channel. It's
that's the problem.
It's some guy who recorded it off his television and then put it on his own channel. So it's just maddening because it feels like NASCAR is getting left behind on this stuff, and it really matters. It makes a difference because if they don't stay with the times, it's going to kill the sport. Cutting costs is not going to matter if none of the teams have any money. You know what I mean?
And here's a good example. The Ryan Preece stuff from Coda. What a better time to get an interview from somebody than there. Instead, you got Joe Baloney's freaking YouTube channel posting an interview from God knows who.
Yep.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yep. So, yeah, it's just this. I saw, what's his name? Moody. Is it Dave Moody on PRN? Yeah. I saw his tweets that he had put out about the viewership and that it's, gone down. Obviously, like I said, there's context that needs to be provided with it. But when you look at it as a whole and with all the stuff that has been talked about with the charter system and the RTA and this new deal and what the splits are going to be, if they don't figure out a way to repackage this and show it in a different light and present it in a much better way. Yeah, man. If NASCAR just signs some ridiculous TV deal with Fox or NBC, it's gonna be tough because
take it back to ESPN,
dude. I don't
bring
care.
back Thursday Night Thunder.
Do something other than what you're doing because right now it's not working. Go out, find a couple of online copywriters or content creators or marketers and tell them, dude, I need to get this out in front of people. Right? They don't cost that much for what you bring in, and it would drastically help improve your sport. People don't want to sit down and watch a 3.5 hour race. Feed them clips, feed them something that's going to hook them and get them to come view. Because here's the deal. Like I said, unless they are diehards, they're not watching a 3.5 hour race. So you've got to figure out a way to attract them in a much quicker, simpler form. Otherwise you're going to die.
Hey, and I think it starts with not racing on Easter Sunday.
Yes. I mean, what are you doing?
Look how empty. Like, I get it. Bristol's huge. You can fit a lot of people in Bristol, but it was fucking empty.
Yep.
At least I thought so.
Well, dude, I love NASCAR. Okay, I watched it. Like we've talked about this before. I loved it. It was my favorite sport. There was nothing that I wanted to do more than
I mean,
work
I
in
grew up on
racing.
it.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I stopped watching it because it turned into
A mockery.
yes, what was not the NASCAR that I loved, right? And I've gotten back into it these last few years with the changes that have been made and the this new car, and the racing has been better, but there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be improved upon. And we need to, I say we, I'm not, obviously people in NASCAR wouldn't know
I
me if they
wish it was
tripped over me in
we.
the street. Yeah. But stop with the novelty bullshit, right? What are we doing? I get it. NASCAR's got a diverse schedule. That's awesome. But can we stick to what we know, please? How about that? You know, one of the things I tell my son all the time, and it's because it's probably been the most valuable thing that I've learned in my life when it comes to a professional aspect. You can be mediocre or average at a bunch of things, right? But at the end of the day, you're just mediocre or average at those things. Don't be that. Be great at one or two things, right? Really stand out. Be awesome at one or two things, right? Showcase what it is that you do best and do those things. You want to have road courses, you want to have, different configured short tracks. I get it. I don't want a bunch of cookie cutter mile and a halfs neither. I don't want that. But I also don't want it to become a bullshit mockery, right? Where it's a bunch of novelty races, because we don't need that. And at the end of the day, if you're trying to keep this thing going and build upon the success that was last year, which it was a success, you really need to take a long, hard look at what it is you are presenting, how you are presenting it, and what you're going to do moving forward. Because NASCAR's got some momentum, and they really need to pounce on it and keep it going. Otherwise, we're going to see it fizzle out like it did in the early 2000s, and I really don't want to see that happen. Today's episode is brought to you by Produxa. Look, you guys, when it comes to protecting and adding a mirror-like shine to your surfaces, you pretty much have two options. You can go with one of those low, quality products out there. Do the old school, like my parents used to do, use the old dish soap to wash your car, or you can go with Produxa. You guys, I've personally used this stuff and it works incredible, man. Whether it's their ceramic coating, their wash, their tire shine, and it not only looks great, but it's super easy to use. I mean, my 10-year-old son was helping me use this stuff, and we used it on my daughter's car, and the car literally looked new. And my daughter's 17, so you can imagine that the car did not look new before we washed it. So if you want to actually give your car a mirror-like shine while in the process protecting it, head over to Produxa.com or the link down in the description below and check out their full line of products today. I can promise you, you will love them. All right, Keith. So now that we got that stuff out of the way, let's dive into hit or miss. Now, we've only got 2 topics for hit or miss this week. The reason for that is after hit or miss, we're going to be doing our NASCAR Driver Stock Game. Plus, we got our NASCAR Pick'em, and those are going to take some time. So, first up, Kyle Larson was 100% correct when he said that NASCAR should not race on dirt. Hit or miss the mark?
I think this year it misses the mark.
Really?
Yep.
Please tell me more.
I thought the racing was actually pretty good, better than what it has been. And that goes a long way with the track prep this year was better, 10 times better. Now, that being said, I would like to see them go to an actual dirt track. Like, let's not put dirt on Bristol anymore. Let's go to an Eldora, a Knoxville, Oswego, one of these other dirt tracks that is a purpose-built dirt track. Then let's take the underbodies off the cars and run them. Because here's the thing, or even shorten the race too. Do it like the freaking the dream. Run 100 laps. Don't run a whole field. Run heat races. Run a B main. If you're gonna run a dirt race, do it right. But
Yeah,
I truly think the racing this year was better. Was way better.
I think the racing was better also. I don't think these cars should be on dirt. I don't, man. I don't like it. I've never been a big fan of it.
It
I
it
just
reminds me of a little bit of a street stock style to a sense. But here's my other opinion. If they're going to continue racing on dirt, I would love to see them get in actual dirt cars. Bring the Prelude back,
well, I would rather
and
see them do something like that too.
make this the All Star race instead of a points race. Make it the All Star race. Now, does that mean you gotta rebuild that bridge back with Tony Stewart to go back to Eldora? If that's what it takes, do it. Because I'm 100% certain that Eldora would sell out if the Prelude went back.
It probably would.
Because it was selling out back in the day.
Yeah, it probably would. But yeah, you can't make it a points race. I don't think I
But I
don't think
wouldn't.
NASCAR has any business holding points races on dirt. I just don't. You know, it's not what Bristol Dirt reminds me of now is what road course racing used to be when I was a kid, right? There was
Yeah.
two on the schedule. You had Sears Point and Watkins Glen, all right? And all you needed to do as a driver was survive those races. That's what the dirt race is now. We've got a
Well,
handful of guys that we know are going to be competitive. Everybody else is just trying to survive the damn things.
now that you say that, and if you pay attention to the results, Kevin Harvick rode around 27th, 30th, finished top 10.
You know,
I
you
mean,
see, so if you're
I
gonna,
guess
if you want to keep them on dirt, then you need to, if you want it to actually be something other than this single race novelty, they need to run more dirt races. And I really
so.
don't want to see that. I don't think they need to be on dirt at all.
Here's my opinion on it. What if they did this? They have their pavement schedule, like the Dirt Silver Crown series. You got your pavement schedule. Let's say they add 3 dirt races. Now I'm not saying they're going to, so nobody come fucking attack me later. Not saying that they're going to, but say they do add 3 races and they say, look, alter the car to make it work on dirt. Would you be in then? I'd be interested.
I'm, I don't know, man. I might. I just,
I would rather see the Gen 6 cars on dirt, personally.
I'm not me. I don't want to. I don't ever want to see them.
I mean, I don't ever want to see it either, but
No,
but
to me, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just
guess
not a fan of it. I'm just not a
I'm
fan of
one
it.
I'm more of a fan of the trucks, personally.
See, the trucks I'm fine with. They're trucks, right? Like I get that.
I
Trucks
think
and dirt kind of go hand in hand.
I think though, if you're gonna do the trucks on dirt, take them back to fucking Eldora.
Yeah, I don't think Bristol should be dirt, man.
No,
I
I don't
don't.
either. I think the track's just too big.
It is
It's
too
too
big.
fast. And I know now I'm gonna get beat up. Well, you're a sprint car guy. It's too fast for freaking sprint cars.
Yeah,
But
the whole Bristol dirt nationals on stuff like that. Like it's cool that everybody shows up and it's this big deal,
you
but the racing there,
they've got to go to a dirt track where you have multiple lanes.
yeah,
I get it. You can see some dirt races where it's single file either around the top or the
yeah,
bottom.
that's gonna happen regardless.
That will, yeah. But if you go to, say, once again, I'm going to throw Eldora back out there. I think the truck races there each year were phenomenal.
Yes, they were good. They were good races. So yeah,
I guess I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50 for now. I'd like to see it go away on the cup side, but then again, there's another half of me like, if they do a dirt race next year, where would they go? I would be enticed to see that.
yeah, I don't know. I just hope
But
it's not Bristol.
I would like to see the underbodies taken off the car. I'd like to see the diffusers completely gone. I know they were gone this time. Take the front windshields out of the damn things. If we're gonna run dirt, run dirt.
Yeah. I just, yeah.
I know they're
I don't know. Just
I'm
get the dirt off
50-50.
Bristol.
I'm gonna stay 50-50, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
Bring the freaking concrete back.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on. Next one. So after Richmond, which we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, Richmond was actually a
It's actually pretty
phenomenal
good.
race. Yeah, it was a really good race. This week's race at Martinsville will be drastically better than both of the Martinsville races in 2022. Hit or miss the mark?
I think it's gotta miss the mark till I see it. Because
Yeah.
if it's anything like last year, yeah,
The problem I think is going to be the shifting. The shifting is going to be interesting to
yeah,
see because of the RPM cap. Now I will say this, they were shifting at Richmond and Richmond was a pretty good race. Now Richmond is obviously a much faster track than Martinsville, right? So that is a track where that reduction in downforce and drag are going to have more of an effect than Martinsville. Martinsville, you're not really going into Martinsville being like, damn, we got to get our aero package right this week,
yeah.
right? Like you
It,
don't have to have that.
if anything, I could see it an old classic Martinsville race. But I mean, I kind of got to see it to believe it at this point that it's
I'm
going to
with
be
you.
a good race. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of shifting. Bring
Nah,
them damn H pattern shifters back.
uh,
Sure.
they've got to figure out a way to fix that. Whether
Well, I mean, we've
it's
talked about how you
yeah,
can fix it.
yeah, they've got to figure out a way
Well,
to fix that.
they'd listen to us. They'd know that by now. But
Yeah, well, unfortunately, they're not going to listen to us at least anytime soon. So, yeah, I mean, they've got to do something with it. Whether it is, they're obviously switching from sequential shifting to H pattern shifting. Is not as
um,
easy. It's much easier
yeah,
said than done. But it would be nice if they could come up with a fix that was simple and cost effective. The problem is that the way that these cars were built and the way that these parts are being manufactured, it's difficult to do. You can't just have those changes. So yeah, until they can figure out the shifting aspect of it, I'm with you. I gotta kind of see it to believe it. I'm hoping that Martinsville's going to be decent. That it's not going to be boring.
I
But
I I hope it's good. I like Martinsville, and it severely pissed me off last year because it wasn't good at all.
yeah, the best part about Martinsville last year was the
The
Hail
checker flag.
Melon by Ross Chastain. Yeah, yeah.
You
So
can't even do that now.
can't do it anymore. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but hopefully it'll be a good race. But that's going to do it for the hit or miss portion of the show. We got obviously short this week, but that's because after the break, we're going to be doing our NASCAR Driver Pick'em. We got to do our results from Richmond and make our picks for this week at Martinsville, and then we'll be diving into our NASCAR Driver Stock Game. So stick around. All right, Keith. So NASCAR Pick'em. If we look back at Richmond, I had Denny Hamlin. You had Christopher Bell. Once again, you beat me.
I'm
Having
on
Bell
fire.
last week, yeah, would have been really good for you. You would have got the win there. We didn't make picks last week, obviously, because we were not here. But this week, going into Martinsville, you get to pick first. So, who do you got this week for Martinsville?
Oh boy, I think I'm gonna go with man. Man, it's tough. I'm gonna go with all right, I'm gonna shoot for the moon here. I'm gonna go with Brad Keselowski.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know, I figured I was gonna get that reaction, but Brad's actually been pretty good this year.
He has been. He has been.
Between him and Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano, they've been carrying the Fords, and I feel comfortable with Brad. He's good at Martinsville.
All right. Well, I am going to be going with William Byron. So
Yeah, well, you might have finally won this weekend.
I hope so. We'll see. I don't know. So far, at Richmond, I was feeling pretty good there for a minute when Hamlin was running up towards the front. I was like, oh man, nice. I might actually get one. And then, of course, that all fell through. It's like, God
Can't remember. Was it
dang it, Denny. The hell
was
are
it
you doing?
did Bell wreck him or did Ross? Because I couldn't figure it out. Because I know Christopher hit him, but Christopher said Ross hit him, so it's like who
Yeah,
did it?
the whole blaming Ross thing for
Uh,
everything is getting ridiculous, man. It really is, dude. You
hey,
know,
I tell you what though,
I,
he's taking it like a champ. He
well, you know
really.
what? And here's the deal. Okay, and here's the thing, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think there's a driver in NASCAR that I have more respect for right now than Ross Chastain because it's 100% the truth. You have all these drivers who are talking about him, and his response is they don't say nothing to me. They walk right past me, and they don't say nothing to me, and that's the truth, man.
As one of them was walking behind him, he's like, "See, look, there he goes."
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. If you're going to run your mouth about somebody, then go talk to them. Don't be a punk and run your mouth behind their backs. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's a punk move, right? When you're going to talk about, oh, Ross Chastain does this and oh, Ross Chastain does this. Like Christopher Bell's comments about Ross Chastain, it was like, dude, Ross made a move to the inside that dozens of other drivers have done on those restarts, right? We know how crazy the restarts are because it's one of the only times that you have to pass. And Ross Chastain goes down, there was an opening, and Christopher Bell swerved because he like flinched, and he's going to blame it on Ross Chastain, right? If those roles were reversed, I can tell you right now, Christopher Bell wouldn't have been blaming it on Christopher Bell. Or, he wouldn't have been like, oh, that's my fault. He'd have been like, hey, man, I shot the gap. He's the one that flinched and moved up. It's not like Ross wrecked into him. So that type of stuff, I'm getting tired of it, man. Everybody's using him as a scapegoat when a lot of times it's not his fault.
And it's comparable to the Ryan Preece, Kyle Larson stuff at Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
It's very comparable. Kyle Larson ran Ryan Preece tight. It pissed Ryan Preece off. I don't blame him.
No, I don't either.
Blame him one bit. And I'm a huge Kyle Larson fan.
Me too.
Not to be biased because I got my ass kicked by him a couple times, but still. But then Ryan Preece did the same thing to him. He ran him tight, and Kyle wrecked himself.
Yep.
And sometimes that's what you need to do.
Yep.
But that being said, I have gained a lot of respect for Ross Chastain.
Me too.
He is taking everything off the chin, and I can't wait till he just fires back at him.
Yep.
This shit's good for the sport, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. So yeah. But anyway, so our NASCAR Pick'ems, you've got Brad Keselowski, I've got Willie B, and hopefully I can actually win one because it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a long while. I won week 2 and I haven't won anything since.
You got a good shot because Willie B outwon at Martinsville, or he did win at Martinsville last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did win one of the Martinsville races, if I'm remembering correctly.
Damn it, I ain't watching the race today.
All right, so let's do our NASCAR driver stock game. So if you guys remember, I talked about how we wanted to wait the first few weeks because we had road racing, dirt. Obviously, we only do one dirt race. I wanted to do it last week after Richmond, but we weren't here. So the way that this works is me and Keith are each given $1,000. This season, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to each pick 4 drivers, and we're going to assign a percentage of our money to each one of those 4 drivers, right? So if you can pick 4 drivers and just say 25% for all of them, or you could say, 90% for one guy, 5% for another, 3%, 2%, however you want, all right? But it's got to equal 100%. And then based on what their price is, it will determine how many shares. And then we look at this in a few weeks, how much money we've either made or lost, and then we'll just redo our portfolio. The way that I calculated it this year to come up with the value for each driver is a little bit different. So what I did was I took their the points that they have earned this season. All right, so we'll use the points leader right now, Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell has earned 281 points. We do a factor of 100, so we're going to divide their points by 100. Then for every win they get 75 cents. For every top 5, they get 50 cents. And for every top 10, they get 25 cents. And this gives us a price for that driver. So, for example, Christopher Bell right now is at $6.81 a share. Okay. Now, you have to not only pick a driver that you think is going to increase in value, but you're looking for big gains, right? We're doing this just like the stock market. So it's one thing to go out and pick Apple. Okay. They're already ridiculously priced. What you want to do is you want to find the next Apple, right? The next big thing that's going to skyrocket and make you a bunch of money. So that's what we do here with the NASCAR Driver Stock Game. So, Keith, I will let you go first. You got to pick 4 drivers, and then you need to assign a percentage to each one of those drivers. So, who do you want?
I'm going to lead this off with Alex Bowman for 25%.
All right, Alex Bowman.
I'm going to make it easy. I'm just 25% on all of them.
Okay.
See, now this is where it gets freaking tough because I think last year I picked like all the top guys that were in the points. And I'm not going to do that this year. I'm going to look at guys that I think have an outside chance. So, coming in second, I'm going to do 25% Ty Gibbs.
All right. And Ty Gibbs's current share price is...
It's got to be low.
Yeah, it is low. Why can't I find him on here? Why is he not on here? I know I calculated him. I saw it. Where did he go? What happened on my table here? God dang it. So Ty Gibbs is... I'll calculate it out here. He's like 2 something a share. Yeah, he's like 2 something a share. Oh, dang it. That's what happened. It copied Ty Dillon twice. Okay, so I gotta run the numbers real quick on him. But anyways, so yeah, he's like 2 something a share because he's got 174 points, and then he's got Ty Gibbs has got no top 5s, 4 top 10s, and no wins. So
there's going to be some people that listen to this, and they're going to motherfuck me because I picked Ty Gibbs. I already know it.
That's okay.
I mean, I'll take it off the chin like Ross Chastain.
Yep. So yeah, Ty Gibbs he's 274 a share. That's what he is.
So my third one, I'm swinging for the fences. It's a home run swing. I feel it coming. Corey LaJoie for 25.
Ooh, that's a nice one. I like that one.
There's something about that 17 dude that there's something about it I like. Yeah, granted, he's got 1 top 10, but there's something there.
They've been running consistently in the top 15. Remember, you earn points out, wins and top 5s and top 10s are bonuses. But even if you have somebody who consistently earns points, they're gonna, the price is gonna be going up on them.
Well, we talk about Kevin Harvick carrying SHR. Man,
yeah.
Corey LaJoie's carrying Spire because Ty Dillon ain't doing a damn thing.
No. No, not at all.
The 77 looks like the 7 from 3-4 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. Ty Dillon, right now, if you look at it in comparison, Ty Dillon is at 53 cents a share and Corey LaJoie is at $2.37. That's like a 400% increase. So, yeah, you're doing much better.
So this last one, I'm shooting with a cannon, and it's going to raise some eyebrows.
Huh.
It really is. I'm going with Justin Haley.
Okay.
Actually, scratch that. I'm not going with Justin Haley.
Okay.
Going with his teammate AJ Allmendinger. Because I'm a firm believer one of these cars from Colleague is going to turn the corner eventually. And I think it's going to be AJ before Justin. Just because AJ's a veteran and he's a fucking badass. So
Yeah, he is.
I just think it's going to take a little bit of time on the ovals for him to get used to the next gen car.
Mm-hmm. I do. I think he'll get there. Obviously, the road course stuff is gonna be,
I mean, yeah, he's always gonna be there. I mean, you can't count him out.
no,
I
you
mean, you
can't.
really can't. Even if he's got a leg cut off, I'd still take him over everybody
Yes.
or most.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. All right. So you've got your.
I was gonna pick Cody Ware, but I don't have the phone number to the jail that he's in. I had to get that shot in there.
There you go.
I mean, come on, man.
So, all right. My picks. I'm kind of glad you didn't pick this guy, which I don't think you would anyways, but
Chase Elliott.
Yep, I'm going to pick Chase
I
Elliott.
knew it.
Well, dude, he's coming back. His cost
cheap.
right now is as cheap as it's going to get. It's $1.24. So I'm gonna be loading up on Chase Elliott. He's getting 50% of my shares.
Let me ask you a serious question. Do you think Chase Elliott's 100%?
Oof.
Do you think he's close to 80?
I would think that he is. I was kind of shocked that he was coming back for Martinsville.
Yeah, I was too. And
Just because when you talk about a broken leg, right, at a track like Martinsville,
that needed emergency surgery.
Yeah, you know what I mean? When you're talking about being on and off the gas like that, braking as much as you have to at Martinsville, I was shocked by that. So for him to come back at Martinsville, I would have to think he's at least 75%. That it's going to have to be more of a pain tolerance thing as opposed to a can re-injure it situation.
So let me ask you this. I think Josh Berry is on the pit box Sunday.
I do think that is possible, that Josh Berry is going to be there as a backup driver, and if Chase can't finish the race, Berry will jump in. I do think that is possible.
And this is just me shooting from the hip. I've not heard this anywhere else. I think you see Josh Berry on the pit box for the next 3 to 4 races.
I think so too, because I think that would just be dumb not to do.
Yeah, this was a serious surgery, a very serious surgery.
Yes.
And I was blown away when they said he was back.
Yeah. So I was shocked by that too. I'm not expecting him to do anything great this week, but when you consider the injury, it's pretty incredible that he's coming back. So hopefully this won't bite me in the ass.
I hope just because of who you picked, but
I know you're not a Chase Elliott fan. My next pick is going to be, where is he? Ryan Blaney. Blaney is $3.36 a share right now. He should be higher. He's had a couple of really good runs destroyed, whether it be mistakes on pit road or getting wrecked by Chase Briscoe. Briscoe's 2 for 2 at Bristol Dirt, man.
I blame the Dirtle. And that's just me being biased because he is an Indiana guy.
Yeah,
and we raced a lot together.
Yep. But I was like, damn, that sucks.
I felt bad for Blaney too because he was on the front row, and but I get it. I get the aspect of what Chase Briscoe was trying to do.
Oh, me too. 100%.
Just poor execution.
Yes.
put my head down real quick and was like, "You got to be shitting me."
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to take Ryan Blaney. He's going to get 25% of the remaining shares.
It's hard to be biased against Ryan Blaney just because his dad was a badass.
Yeah. And I just really like Ryan Blaney. I don't know. There's just something about the dude I really like. He seems like the type of person I could literally sit down and have a beer with. Not that he would want to have one with me, but I would definitely have one with him.
He'd definitely be somebody I'd want to party with.
Yeah, yeah.
Not even kidding.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, my next driver I'm going to pick is Martin Truex Jr. I think things have just got to get better for Truex. I'm going to give him, I have 25% remaining. I'm going to give him 15% of that. And then I've got one driver left. And that is going to be Denny Hamlin. And he will get the remaining 10% of my portfolio. So I've got Chase Elliott with 50%, Ryan Blaney with 25%, Martin Truex Jr. with 15%, and Denny Hamlin with 10%. You've got all of them get 25%. You've got Alex Bowman, Ty Gibbs, Corey LaJoie, and AJ Allmendinger. So
everybody's laughing like, Keith, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, dude. I'm sure they're saying that about mine too. So
the ceiling. I think the guys that I picked I don't think they reached their ceiling this season.
No, definitely not.
Like Alex Bowman's probably been the most consistent this season than he has any other season. Like it's mind blowing how consistent he has been.
Yes, and when you run that consistent, the wins will come. 100%.
And I think they're coming for a while.
Yep. So, all right. So that's going to do it for our 2023 Q1 NASCAR driver stock selections. And to wrap up today's show, we have got a Ask 3 Wide. Now you can email the show and ask us a question if you want. It can be on anything that you want to make it on. It doesn't really matter. We don't really care. Or it could be like today's topic, which is about NASCAR. We've been heavily talking about this, and the reason why this topic fits in so well. We actually got this email last week, but we weren't here. And the reason I wanted to read it today was because of everything that we've been talking about, which has been about the money and the media and all that stuff like that. But from Frank, he says, Tommy, Keith, love the show. I got a question for you. Do you think NASCAR should implement a cost cap like they've done in F1? Thank you. So me and Keith were talking about this before the show, and we had to stop ourselves because we would have had a 45-minute conversation about it. Because we'd
still be talking about it.
Yeah, because this is an interesting way to look at it. You know, you could make the argument, right? If we go back in time a few years, when you looked at where NASCAR was with the Gen 6 car, right? And these teams spending, you know, the high level teams, the top teams, you're talking Gibbs or Hendrick or, you know, even Stewart Haas, Roush or RFK, whatever the hell it's called, Childress, right? These top teams where they're spending insane amounts of money on these cars, right? These parts for, you know, to gain a few tenths of a second, right? And it can really explode the cost of a race car. And so if you looked at it back then, right, NASCAR went this next gen cup car route where they made the cars much more cookie cutter. They did bring in brand identity to them, which is a good thing, but this was the way that they were going to control the cost, was the next gen car. You could make the argument, though, that they could have brought in a cost cap and said, hey, look, here's the deal. You guys can't spend more than X amount of money. Now, if we put to the side, right, the all of the stuff that's going to come up in terms of enforcing that, right? Now, they do this in F1. There is cost caps in F1 now, which if you look at what F1 did, right, the way that they did it is F1 has kind of adopted this NFL model for their racing, which is, hey, look, you're going to have a cost cap. You cannot spend more than X amount of money. Not only that, but the teams, right, based on where you're running in the constructors, the bottom teams are going to get more wind tunnel time. They're going to get more CAD time, right? More simulator stuff. The top teams are going to get less wind tunnel time and less CAD time. So just like you would do in the NFL, right, with the draft, right? The worst teams are going to get to draft first. The best teams have to draft towards the end. And this is going to be how we create this parity in our league. Now, obviously, racing is very different than the NFL, but it's the same type of principle, right? Where the lower teams are going to be kind of raised up and the top teams are going to be they're going to try to hold them down. So could you do that in NASCAR? You could, right? You absolutely could. Now, when it comes to monitoring the budgets, right, this is where you've got to have people in place. Everything has to become an open book because you have to have a third party who's monitoring this stuff. You know what I mean? You just have to, if there's going to be a cap. Now, other sports leagues obviously do this. And if you look at the charter system, right, if the charter system were to stay in place, I think that this is a route that you could go, meaning that, hey, these charters are now going to become franchises, just like you have in the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball. And associated with that franchise is a cost cap. You cannot spend more than X amount of money, right? And you could look at it in terms of total, whether you're talking about the personnel, the drivers, the improvements you make to the car, all that stuff. Or if you want to break it off into different sections, there's a bunch of different ways that you could do it, right? But that is a route that they could go. For me personally, if they were going to do that, I would like to see them go back to building their own cars, because I don't know how much a cost cap is going to help with the next gen car. You know what I mean? If you're going to implement a cost cap, I would want to see it to where the teams were building the cars again. Obviously you would have to look at, costs for certain things, right? There would have to be something in place, because you can't have a team going, oh, hey, we built this new body and it only cost us $7. No, sorry, it costs way more than that. You know what I mean? Like you can't have any, and obviously that's an exaggeration, but you can't have that type of chicanery going on. You have to have something in place that would monitor that. But Keith, you brought up an interesting point. I'll let you take over from here, where if you're going to have a cost cap, you have to have a cost minimum where these teams have to spend a minimum amount of money.
Yeah, and like I was saying before we went live, if this was to happen, then there would have to be a way to get Rick Ware to spend some money, Live Fast to spend some money, because let's face it, if there was to come a time where they could lose their charters, this year is the year, because they are the least competitive of all of them. It's frustrating to a point, and then there's not a right way and there's not a wrong way. But yeah, NASCAR would have to force their hand on spending money to be competitive. If not, just give the charter up, because I don't see the value in either team just traveling across the country to run around 4 seconds off the lead on lap 2.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
No, you're right. You would have to force teams to invest. If you look at the NFL or NBA, right, they have to spend a minimum percentage of the cap. I want to say it's like 80% or 85% or something like that.
They got to have like 80, 85, close to 90% spent before a certain date. Now, and here's another thing, like I was saying off air too. If it's going to be the TV deal and them getting money or whatever, it's got to be like Major League Baseball. Your highest teams are going to get the most, and your lowest teams are going to get the least. It's like a small market and a big market. But I mean, that would just, the more and more I thought about it, that would just put Rick Ware and them guys in an even smaller box.
It would.
But they put themselves in that box.
Yeah. And look, this is what happens, if you look at F1, right? This is, what happens as well. where, the teams who perform towards the back, eventually you end up kind of stuck back there. Now, with this whole cost cap thing and what they've done, we've actually seen some of these bottom teams improve, right? If you look at Williams or Alfa Romeo, these teams that were just perennial anchors on the field, they've actually improved some. Now, they're not winning races, but you can see that there is a path for them to reach that point. It's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen. And I think that would be, if you're looking at it from a NASCAR standpoint, that could be a benefit, right? Because racing costs are insane. Think about Front Row. They won the championship and then went away. Yes.
And
think
that can't
about
happen.
that. No,
that
it can't
happen. That should never happen.
Yep.
It should never happen.
Yep.
Piggybacking off what you were saying about those F1 teams going from bad to semi-good.
Yeah.
That would be huge for Rick Ware. It would be a win for them to run 22nd, 23rd.
Oh, yeah. Top 25, top 20. That'd be huge.
But they have to put the initiative to do it. But here's another problem, like Live Fast. From my understanding, most of their employees are volunteer.
Yeah, that's tough.
I don't understand how you can be a professional race team within NASCAR and have a team like that.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's not good business in my eyes.
No, that's not a successful business model.
Why would NASCAR invest into them? You know what I mean?
Yep.
When they know that if they were to give them money, like, hey, you got to spend this amount, are they really going to spend it on the team?
Yeah.
Are they going to spend it, or are they going to go all on vacation? Because in my eyes right now, BJ McLeod's on vacation.
Yeah, and that would be the thing. It would be, you would have to have some kind of implementation to make sure that a minimum amount of money went to the actual performance of the team and car.
It would have to be public, like the NFL salary cap. You can go in Spot Track and see what each team has and what they're spending and where they're spending it at.
Yes.
That would have to be a model for NASCAR to use. So that way you could see, they're spending X amount into the engine program or aerodynamic program, whether they have them anymore. And in BJ McLeod and Rick Ware, in my eyes, I could see them. Let's upgrade engines, because I'm sure they're using hand-me-downs.
Yeah, and I actually think if you did something like that, I think that would actually help grow the sport, because believe it or not, one of the reasons why the NFL is so successful is because the off season is such a big deal, right? Think about that. You have people who watch players get drafted. The whole thing is built on hope, to where if your team was not good last year in the NFL, when you get to the off season, you spend that whole off season as a fan with the hope that your team can turn it around in a year, right? They might not go from number one draft pick to but they might not go from number one draft pick to Super Bowl in one season, but you can go from 5-11 to competitive to 9-8, right? Yes. 10-6. That is a very real possibility. And so if you had something like that in NASCAR, I think it would open the door for that.
And I think what would bridge the gap, and this is probably, I'm going to catch a bunch of shit for saying this, and I don't care now. What if they went to a spec engine like the Truck Series to help alleviate some of the cost for the little teams? Like, hey, here's your engines for the season. I don't know how many the trucks get, but they got to run them for so many races before they put a new one in. Now, that would also kind of hurt the big teams, because most of them build their own stuff. But it would also help those back markers, those guys that we laugh at every weekend. And let's face it, Front Row was there 3-4 years ago. Now look at them.
Mm-hmm.
Are they championship contenders by any means? No, they're not. But when Michael McDowell can show up and run it within the top 10, top 15 every week, it's possible.
Yep.
I have faith that they can do it. They have to do it. We've seen Rick Ware run really good in the IndyCar series. Why in the hell can't he do it in the Cup series?
Yep.
There comes a point in time where it's either A, Cody Ware just isn't good, or B, the stuff actually isn't good.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you. So yeah, it definitely an interesting topic, man.
I mean, it could just go both ways. I
Yeah,
mean,
it
there's an
could.
argument for each side, and there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, and it you know, to tie this into what we were talking about at the beginning of the show in the open today, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be rethought. You know, everybody keeps talking about this potential revenue split and what's going to happen, but the business model, you cannot be dependent upon sponsors the way that you used to be with everything that can be done. You know, I can go out right now and I can create an ad campaign that will be 10 times more successful than putting your sponsor on a cup car at a racetrack. And I can do it for a fraction of the price. You know what I mean? And I can do it from my house on my computer. So the whole model needs to be rethought. Now, look, I'm not smart enough to tell you what it should be because obviously I don't know. I'm just some idiot behind a microphone. But it needs to be rethought. There are much more intelligent people, you know, in the business who can look at this stuff and bring this type of stuff, you know, to the forefront. I mean, 2311 is a great example when you look at not only, you know, Denny and Michael, but you look at the people that they've brought in from these other avenues who can think like this outside the box and look at things from a different perspective. I think we need more of that because if the sport's going to not only survive but thrive, some of this stuff's going to have to change, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it changes moving forward.
And I think the biggest asset for 2311 that's not being talked about is their iRacing program. Not only the iRacing program, but keeping Kurt Busch a part of the team.
Yeah. Yep.
I would love to see more teams do that.
Yeah, I think that's a big untapped market for NASCAR in general. You know, one of the ways that you could help grow the sport with the younger audience base would be to tie it more to the esports world, the gaming world. You know, that's what kids do nowadays. You know, my son has become a fan of certain sports because he played those video games, right? He played MLB, he played NHL hockey, right? Like he played the games, loved them, and was like, I want to play this in real life. You know, that's how he became fans of it. So it can happen with anything. And when you can make that connection and get people to invest in it, even if it's on the most basic level of a video game, it can absolutely help the sport. So yeah, you're right about that, man. It makes a difference. We've already seen it make a difference. It's been huge. And, you know, like I said, they're going to have to really start looking at a lot of this stuff because there's going to have to be some big changes made because they cannot continue using the same model because all you're doing there is just prolonging the inevitable. And I don't want to see that. And most people don't either, you know? So there is a way to implement change without abandoning your base. You know, there is. NASCAR failed at it in the early 2000s, but they've got another shot at it now. Hopefully they can do it right this time. All right, so that's going to do it for this week's episode. Please download, like, share, subscribe, give it out to your friends, your family. Hell, give it to the people you don't even like. Just say, hey, man, listen to these two guys. See what you think. Who cares? Just get it out there. The show continues to grow like we talked about before. It's growing slow and steady, but hey, that's better than not at all. So thank you guys very much for that. We really appreciate it. So yeah, download, like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff, and we will be back next week to do this all over again. So Keith, my man, have a good weekend.
I will try to, and all the listeners out there, if you go to your local dirt track and sprint car racers there, go thank them. Go shake their hand.
Yep.
They need some love.
Yes, they do. So,
but yeah, you have a good weekend too.
I will. I'm working all weekend, so I'll try to have as good a weekend
nice
as I
here
can.
In Indiana, it rained. I felt like for a week and a half. It's finally nice out.
Yep. Yeah. Yesterday I was sweating. I was dying. It was only like 78, but like I said last week, it was like 50. So I was dying yesterday, changing windshields. I was like, oh my God, dude, this summer's going to suck. Oh, dude. I'm not looking forward to it. So
Almost there.
Yep, yeah, it's right around the corner. So, but thank you very much as always, everyone out there. Have a great weekend, and until next week, take care.